What kind of careers are there in the field of architecture? This episode is dedicated to architecture students who are in school and not sure what they want to do after school. So, to share about me quickly in my experience, I've worked for a small architecture firm for 5 years. I'm also a student. I'm like in the middle of my 5 year program. And I'm actually taking a professional practice class, and I've got my book with me. And I have a little understanding of what you do, but there's a really good, couple pages in here that just talks about all the different things you can do, whether you're actually working at a firm, and doing design, construction drawings and details, working with clients, or doing something outside of traditional architecture. It's called Going Beyond Architecture, and it talks about outside the traditional practice, like being an architectural historian. That's cool. Related professions, interior designer. That's cool. Uh, Property assessor, real estate developer, public official. You could work for like a zoning board. There's just so many different things. So, shout out to the book, Architecture Student Handbook of Professional Practice, 15th edition. This episode is dedicated to Techno. He is one of my first subscribers, and he comments on all my videos. Techno commented on the last podcast and said they were an architecture student and they weren't sure what they were going to do. So this one's for you, buddy. Here's everything that you could do in the field of architecture. I'll try to keep this brief. Okay, so first, I think let's talk about you could work at an architecture firm, and if you wanted to be an architect, here's all the different jobs, or I guess things you do in architectural services. Just from my experience, you can be someone who meets with clients, um, does like sort of the sales, do the initial meeting, sort of the song and dance and woo the client. You can help with like the initial concepts, the design development. I feel like a lot of people like myself like this aspect. You can be more towards geared towards like the technical drawings, construction documents, like how do you build the building. You could be more on the business admin, construction management. There's so many different things. This really gets into the details, talking about accessibility, compliance. So that's like ADA, accessibility, like people in wheelchairs or have difficulty moving around. You can like assist with making sure that the house or building is compliant or good for people like that. Architectural acoustics, so like sound design, like you think of like maybe a movie theater or an opera house, like they think a lot of how the sound travels through the building. Building measurement, oh god, don't get into this. I do that. I measure existing buildings for my architecture firm. So I'll go to like a small house and then measure the whole thing so we could do a renovation. Oh my God, I hate doing as builds. You are on your feet all day long. You're hungry. Towards the end, it's like probably like 3 to 4 hours to measure a small house. God forbid it's like super complicated. So you could do that. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Shout out to everyone else who's doing it with me. Code compliance. I'm not a fan of code. It's important, but like you have people who specialize in code compliance work. Um, they just know the building code like the back of their hand. Commissioning. I think that might be sales. I don't know. Let's just keep going down. Contract administration, construction, contract administration. I guess overseeing the construction defect analysis. That's kind of cool. Checking if buildings are messed up. Construction documents, drawings, specifications. Specifications is when you're like selecting all the finish and fixtures and like systems going into a building. Construction management, that's an obvious one. Demolition planning, that's cool. Detailed cost estimating, how much does it cost to build the building? Digital architecture survey technologies, I guess like a land surveyor. Excuse me. Energy analysis and design, that's pretty big now that, sustainability is a hot topic. Energy monitoring, environmental graphic design. What is that? I don't know. Expert witness services. I don't know what that is. Could be the person that picks the furniture, furnishings and equipment. If you're into interior design. Geotechnical service. I think that's stuff with like the soil. Again, this is like, I'll tell you when I have a loose understanding, but this is to give you an idea of there's just so much in this field to do. And it can be overwhelming sometimes. But all right, let's rapid fire. Let's go through this. You could be an interior designer, land surveying. Ooh, you could do light design. That's important. Model construction. Can you imagine getting a job just building models? Some people love it. Some people hate it. I'm in the middle. Parking planning specialist. If you love parking lots, then this is the job for you. Record drawing. Project financing and development services. How much does it cost? You can specialize in the 3D renderings. Research services, site plan analysis, space planning, sustainable design, strategic facility planning, urban design services, so like designing neighborhoods. Yeah, so that's like all the different services in like the architecture firm, kind of. What's really cool is this beyond architecture. Talk about like all the jobs that you can kind of go in. So let's read through them because I've never read through this list either, and I'm kind of excited to see. Academic dean / administrator. That's kind of cool. You maybe work for an architecture school. Architectural historian. I wouldn't mind doing that. I kind of like learning about the history of architecture and teaching it. Corporate architect. I'm assuming this is like office buildings, like facilities architect. Maybe this is like more commercial. Professor. I really think I might want to be a professor because like, as you can see, I'm like kind of teaching now. So maybe an online professor because I feel like that's a little, being professor at a school, sure. Thank you for all the, shout out to all the professors out there. I can see it being a little annoying, like grading all these different papers and stuff. So maybe the online professor can get me out of, that homework. Public architect. I guess so, working for the government. Researcher and university architect. Those are some cool ones. Related professions, so interior designer, landscape architect, urban designer. If I assume that you don't really, some people watching this might not know, landscape architect is like plants, trees, like the vegetation, and then urban design is, like I said, it's you're like planning neighborhoods and stuff. All right, then we're moving down to engineering and technical. Architectural acoustics, so that's like sound design. Building pathologist. I have no idea. Cartographer. I have no idea. I'm sorry, I probably should have researched this stuff, but I just wanted to kind of talk and then share what I know, kind of use this resource a little bit. And then if anyone knows what a cartographer is, put it in the comments below. Help me out. It's just hard to like make these videos and do, all the extensive research because I'm in school. I should be doing my studio homework right now, but I wanted to do this for tech now. I'm working, so it's like it's hard to do these in the future. Hopefully I can allocate more time, maybe when I graduate, to really researching and knowing my stuff. Civil engineer. So that's like civil engineers do like roads, things like that. As I think, computer systems analysis. Okay. Construction slash building inspector. Illuminating engineer, so lighting. Marine architect. That's a cool one. I think that's when you're like designing boats. Structural engineer and urban planner. Okay, you can also go into construction, be a carpenter. You know, you're building with wood and other stuff. Construction manager, construction software designer, contractor, design builder. I always thought of being a design builder because, or like some sort of developer, because can't you just like, if you have the money to develop, you can like hire yourself as the designer and then you can finally design, but then you have to be a builder too, which, you know, that's tough. You'd be an estimator, estimating construction prices. Fire protection designer, that's important for safety. Land surveyor and project manager. You could also go into real estate, property assessor, evaluating how much a property is worth. Real estate agent. I always thought of being a real estate agent. It's not for me. I like the design, but you know, I always thought it would be cool to like be like, I don't know. I love real estate and like cool houses, obviously. Studying to be an architect. So that's why I thought about it. And then real estate developer. I think all of us sort of think we might be a developer one day, because it's just, I don't know, you can make a lot of money in developing, but it is very time consuming. So that's like the trade off. Okay, art and design. Architectural illustrator, architectural photographer. That would be a cool one. I kind of want to do that. I was a real estate photographer for a little while. I think I talked about it. Artist, clothing designer. That's cool. Exhibit designer. Cool for like museums and stuff. Filmmaker. Ooh. You know, I was just watching a movie. It was like the latest Indiana Jones, and the set designs were amazing. Like, and I kind of thought like, I don't know, the architecture, like they would need people to design stuff for the movie and like the set, and a lot of it was like computer renderings. So I think that's like a future thing, is like being a virtual architect, designing for the virtual world. Think about how cool that would be, because you're not even limited to the laws of gravity. So yeah, a virtual architect. I'm going to remember that one. Furniture designer. You know, you could design some groovy couches. A graphic designer. Industrial product designer. So that's like you're making like products. Like think of a cool product like Dyson vacuums. Oh my god, those are like the coolest vacuums. Or and they have the fan that has no blades. Like you could design cool fans. What else we got? Lighting designer, museum curator. That's a cool one. Set designer, I told you. But that's I guess in like actual sets. Toy designer and a web designer. I think there's a few more here. Architectural products, services. So you could be a sales representative for architectural products. Okay. Other architectural critic, an author, a writer, city manager, golf course architect. That's a cool one. I just started playing golf. It's a tough sport to get into and it's expensive. That's cool. I didn't think I guess you need people to design the courses. Lawyer, preservationist, and public official. Well, as you can see, there is a lot of different jobs in the field of art and architecture. I don't really know what I want. I kind of do. I want to go into residential, but I have an interest in a lot of different things too. Like I wouldn't say no to designing an office, but I think I want to focus on residential for now. Um, Specifically on like maybe affordable housing. How do you make it so you can design an affordable house so like everybody has a home? That I would love to give that to the world. Um, so I'm gonna wrap up this podcast episode. This was sort of like an overview of a bunch of different things you can do, and my goal is to start bringing on professionals to this podcast, sort of do like an online interview of, I don't know, a landscape architect, interior designer, set designer, museum curator. That is actually a great list for me to like talk to some of those people. My uncle's an architect and he works in construction management. So, of course, I'm going to have my Uncle Craig on. Um, and then this way you can hear them talk about their jobs, what they like about it, what they don't like about it. So that's sort of my goal for this podcast, is sort of bring on cool and interesting people in the field of art and architecture and have them tell their stories. It's amazing what you can learn from hearing about someone's, you know, failures, their successes. I've worked with my boss for 5 years, and just listening to, his stories has helped me talk to clients, because I steal his stories a little bit, and I could tell them to clients as like fair warnings that this could happen. So I kind of want to share that with the architecture community that I'm talking to now. So let's wrap it up. My name is Zach. Thank you for watching or listening. Yeah. Take care. Have a great night.